What up, Pops?
What up, son?
It's probably the only time that I'll ever be able to sit down in a podcast and say, what up, Pops?
And for myself, what up, son?
Yeah. So you just came in. Yeah, thank you. This is all very new for us. So if we mess this up, this is definitely not on his end, totally on our end. But how's the flight?
Flight was great. There wasn't many people on the flight due to COVID, so that was kind of convenient. Didn't have anybody next to me.
Oh, nice.
Matter of fact, I had the whole aisle to myself. So.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I came in on Friday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you touched down on Friday, 3 days. So what have you been doing the last couple of days? You been hanging out with the crazy Luccketta family?
I have been.
Some stuff's getting posted lately.
What are you referring to?
Well, I saw that you're playing with your grandson. Did you see what you were doing there? And then supposedly you just flopped and died on my body. So a lot of people are talking the way I played it off, and then you just kind of died on me, and they think that you need a Grammy for that one.
Oh, that was a Grammy fall?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Personally.
Yeah, well, I was attacked. I was minding my own business. I was watching television. I was enjoying the show. And the next thing I know, I'm being bombarded. So I had to protect myself. And I thought I did a pretty good job.
No, you did a great job. And this is what we do. We go freestyle live. So you came in, I'm assuming, on what kind of flight?
Southwest.
Touchdown. Been here for 3 days. We're touching it out and Made It Stars podcast. Trying to figure this out as we go, and Pop Luccketta being who he is. Normally, we have a podcast table. We pulled it out. Normally, we have two king chairs on both sides. But being the relationship with this man and I thought it was only fitting to put a drum kit between us to sit us on two drum thrones.
I recognize this.
And why I got to this place in my life. So, before I talk about me, who are the inspirational drummers in your life? 13, 12, 14, 9. When did it all start for you?
Well, it kind of started, I was probably 10 years old, and I had a couple friends of mine. I'm in Dublin, California, where I grew up. And I went to Murray School, where my grandson is now attending, which is so ironic and so cool. Wells Junior High, right around the corner, not far.
Which Noah and Annalise, your stepkids too.
Right, and now we have right down the street Dublin High School. So I left in the middle of my freshman year. But coming back to when I was about 10 years old, I was the kind of kid that I had a paper route, and I got introduced to the snare drum through a couple friends of mine, and they invited me into the garage, and we stood around the snare drum. And they knew I wanted to play drums, and so they handed me a pair of spoons, and I played Wipeout.
Nice.
For all of you that don't know Wipeout, it goes da na 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 na, right?
Yeah.
So I just got on this. I just played it, and I remember them lighting up, and.
So you remember the other people lighting up when you were just doing...
Yes, I remember, I remember exactly what that moment felt like.
Yes.
And I remember...
How old were you again? How old were you at that time?
Probably 10.
10? Okay.
And I remember I was surprised, too, because I just kind of lit up along with them.
Probably the first time you maybe ever felt that feeling, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I had never experienced a drum, never been around any drums.
And you're just grabbing spoons. And now all these people are lighting up because you do what you do naturally.
Well, it just, I had heard it so many times on the radio.
Yeah.
And it was a little simple, famous drum part, really cool little thing. But I remember that moment very, very well. And I had a paper route. And I remember that I wanted to get a set of drums. And I'm pretty obsessive with my behavior. Not much has changed since I was 10 years old. So, excuse me. So I got a second paper out, and I actually had a third paper out. I think I was delivering the independent paper out, and I had, that was a morning paper out, along with the green sheet. And then I went to the Oakland Tribune, which was an afternoon paper route. And I had that just for a short time, and I saved $55, and I bought a set of these Crest drums. And it had actually no hi-hat. That was it. I mean, actually just one ride, snare, tom, kick drum. No hi-hat. And then I remember for my birthday, my family pitched in. You got to excuse me. I don't have COVID. This is just a cough thing I've had for a little while.
If I mess up my mic, Andy, sorry, but I gotta get pops back always because it's in my DNA.
So anyway, I saved up some money and I bought myself a set of drums. And I remember 6th grade, I was playing with this kid named Richie Tolley. And I remember we used to get together and jam. He had a guitar, and it was just the two of us. But we were writing original songs back then. And if I had a guitar, I could probably show you kind of what we did. But I remember the song very, very well.
Do that different.
I mean, it was just a couple strings he played on. But, you know, I had some drums to it, and I played a little bit, and we played in front of the 6th grade class at the time.
6th grade class?
Yeah. And my dear friend Rick Souza and this guy Mike Robertson, who lived across the street, I remember my bass drum was sliding. And this was the craziest thing because here I'm playing, we were just sound checking.
Yeah.
So they got up and each one of them sat by the leg.
And just holding it down? On each side?
Yeah. So while I was
you had
playing,
some good friends back at that age. I had no homeboys who would ever do that because my shit slid all the time.
I just had a recent flashback about that. Just recently, I was sharing a story, and that had come up, and I thought, man, how crazy is that? You're up there playing, all the kids are watching, and you've got two kids on each side of the bass drum holding the bass drum, you know, like, you know.
Oh, that's awesome.
But
that
yeah,
awesome.
and it all went downhill from there. I remember going back. I remember going back to class.
Did you finish the song at least?
No, we played the song. Everything was fine. Everything was cool.
The song sounded good. So the homeboys hold it down on each side, held it, and you kicked the way that you kick because you got that strong kick drum.
Well, I don't know what I had back then, but I do know one thing, that it's amazing how powerful the ego is. I mean, I'm so young. I've just had my moment, and now I'm got this thing, right?
Yeah. And just for the people, say it one more time. How old are you?
60, and I was 10. So, but I always say the ego has amazing recuperative powers because it's just EGO, edging God out. That's how I relate to it.
Edging God out, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. But, you know, I mean, it's like I played, I had my moment, and right away, man, that ego just kicked right on in. And I remember thinking, well, I went back to the class, and I started cleaning my cymbals at the back of the class. And they were still having class, and the teacher...
What do you mean cleaning your cymbals? Like you're polishing them? Or
yeah, I decided I wasn't going to finish class that day, that I was just going to have my moment with my drums.
Taking your shoe off, taking your sock off, just cleaning it? Did you have polish back in the day? Like you were just spraying on your cymbals?
I don't remember.
What are you doing?
Exactly what it was.
But
I know this. This is what happened. And this is how the day ended up playing out.
All right.
I got into a little bit of a problem because I wasn't attending the class and finishing up with the class, and I decided I wanted to have a moment with my drums, and my drums were in the back. So I was just kind of doing my thing, and the next thing I know, my mom had come down and I had got in trouble.
Oh my God, that fast?
That fast, first day.
How did she know?
Of playing music.
The principal must have been on it. Like
Well,
you're
you
out
know,
for like maybe an hour.
I think I was
cleaning, polishing those cymbals, and like, you know what? He's out for one period. Get your ass down here. And Grandma Joanne showing up right now,
you know,
whooping your butt. For that,
it's interesting to me to think about that moment and
putting you back in that place.
7th, 8th grade. Moving into middle school. You know, those are tough years for kids.
Yeah.
I think they're the toughest years for kids because it's such a heavy transition before we get to high school. And, you know, my experience of my school years and feeling inadequate and trying to fit in, you know, because that was really my deal, people pleaser. I mean, and I could look back and see those character defects at a young age now.
But you feel at that point that you were trying to people please at that point at a young age? Did you really feel that you were trying to people please? Or do you think now later? Oh no, we roll. This is live.
This is live.
This is live. We don't cut anything.
That's all good. Well, you're not aware of these things that you're doing when you're growing up, but
Sure. But at that age, like middle school, you were actually aware?
I was in Wells Junior High.
Yeah, so that's sixth, seventh
which
grade,
was just
correct?
7th and 8th grade.
Yeah.
But making the transition and finding friends to fit in, and then you start with some of the bad choices, and before you know it, you're doing a little this and a little that, and you're not cutting school and doing some stupid things. And by the time I hit my freshman year in '73, I remember going into Dublin High School and not doing real well. Actually, I think I might be a little harder on myself at times with some of my realities and truths and perceptions. But I wasn't showing up. I really wasn't, involved, and I was just not present. And when I got into Dublin High School, I was only there for maybe the first quarter before we moved in '73 when my parents divorced. But I remember getting an A- on my math, and I was so proud of myself. You know what I mean? I was
Good for a drummer in math.
Well, the thing about it is when I look back and I think of not doing well in school, because I didn't, but I thought about how well I could have done if I would have applied myself, and the things that I was passionate in, and how I kind of got lost through the divorce. And by the time we got into Hayward, California, when my parents had divorced, that was...
So trying to paint the picture real quick. So 72, right?
Correct.
You leave Dublin.
73.
73, you leave Dublin. And now we're headed from the divorce. Now we're headed to Hayward all of a sudden, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, this is going to... I don't know how to put this because of all the stupid racial stuff that's going on, which I think is ridiculous. To a point, I get it. And I don't mean to go down that road, but point being, Dublin was pretty white.
Yeah.
And I say that
still today, they're
only because when I got to Hayward, there was, we had the Filipinos, Mexicans, the Hispanics and blacks and such. But there was, my point is,
you came from a white school to a whole new different world. And if this was Ariel from Little Mermaid, she'd pop up right now saying, "A whole new world. Don't you dare close your eyes." Keep it going. No, but we get
Well, very much like that. So my point is, when I got there and there were so many frickin' fights and gangs and the stuff, it was real. And when you're a freshman and you're going into that,
and you've never seen it, you know what I mean?
I had never been around anything like that.
Yeah.
So I was 4'11" all through high school, and I had a friend of mine that lived in the condominiums where I lived. This guy named Steve Luccketta, and I ended up my mom would. I'd take off and act like I was going to school, but what ended up happening, when she'd go for work, I just turn around and go back home.
So you're 14 doing this, ditch the school,
and I really
new atmosphere, new environment.
I set myself up to where I wasn't going to class. I got so far behind I couldn't catch up. And so by the time I got to my senior year, I ended up in a continuation school, which I did well in. I fell right into that. I was comfortable, liked the teachers. I liked what was going on. I was showing up. But I still didn't have enough credits to graduate. So here now, 17 years old, and I'm not going to graduate in the middle of my senior year, and I had an opportunity to go to Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh.
I'm not sure. Do you know this?
Actually, this is awesome. I have no idea about this. So you're 14 to 15?
I kind of transitioned through high school really quick because it was just kind of a little bit of a blur.
I know.
And then once I got
maybe 15 to 16 to Memphis?
17 years old.
Okay. All right.
I have all the pictures and
paint
show
the
it to
picture
you.
for the people that are listening in. Paint the picture for them. So now we're 17.
I'm 17 years old.
Okay.
Not going to graduate. middle of my senior year, had an opportunity to go to Memphis, Tennessee to play with Benny LaBarge. I think it was Daryl Goppert, and I believe it was Byron Lang. And Benny's brother had provided work for us, so I had a job right when I got there. We worked every day, 5 days a week, and we would play music at night.
What were you doing for work?
Writing songs.
If you don't mind me asking.
His brother had something to do with telephone equipment. I just remember being in the warehouse, and we would be spraying a lot of the equipment down with whatever chemicals that would dry really quickly and keep it all dust free and such. And they would package this stuff up, and that it was kind of warehouse work. So, excuse me. So that was nice, and I was only in Memphis for about 6 months, and we only did a few gigs, but we had our own apartment, and I was out, trying to chase my dream at a young age. And if I backed up a little bit, actually through the high school thing, when I was 15 years old, I had moved out at 15 and a half, and I had shared a house in Hayward, California, with a couple friends, and I used to work at the Shell station on the corner, and I would open and close the station sometimes.
The one Tennyson right there?
This was on Jackson and Alice Street.
Alice, and we'll eventually jump.
And there was a standard
Alice
there.
Hayward?
Alice Hayward.
Where you bought Midnight? Alice?
Oh, no, not Alice. I'm sorry, it was Grant. Was it Grant?
Okay.
Because then Grant cuts over to, I think, so there was a Standard Brands across the street.
Okay.
And the Bubble Machine was another gas station across the street where some of my other musician friends worked. And I remember I always wanted to be at the Bubble Machine with my friends.
That's where the cool guys were hanging out.
But because they would be over there.
Was.
They had the car wash, and they'd be doing the cars, they'd be dancing and playing music, and I'd be like, man, I want to be over there, But
Poplar just wanted to dance.
But I remember, excuse me.
It's okay. You got some water right there. I'll grab you another one if you need it.
This thing's been with me for a while, and but it's not COVID, so that's the good thing.
Definitely a good thing.
So, anyway, that I never got over there, but I went ahead and back. That was 15 and a half, so I just kind of missed that little thing that I threw in there. But point being, my whole life, I've never been afraid to work. I've always liked working. That's never been a problem for me. And so if I could go play music and work, that was okay, or I would work hard so I could play my music. And I never got into any cover bands. I never played in any cover bands growing up. I was always in bands. I invested into original bands.
Were a lot of people at that point in their life getting into cover bands on the West Coast? Were they getting into cover bands? I don't.
There was always cover bands around, but all the bands that I remember, there was a great music scene in Hayward, and all the bands that I remember, they had their own music. They played some covers, but everybody was focused on their career. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They had a passion and a vision for what they wanted to do, and that was for me. As a young player. I'm totally self-taught, had never taken any lessons. I skipped a little bit, I didn't talk much about middle school. I did take snare drum and bass drum in middle school. I played a little bit.
I don't even know what that is in middle school, snare drum and bass drum. What does that mean?
Well, that means I was in a marching band.
Okay, all right.
And there was one gig, I remember, matter of fact, on Village Parkway, and
right here,
and the street you lived on, which was
the old street, Amador Valley.
Yeah. So check this out. This is what happened. This is a total flashback moment. I'll never forget this because, see, I was always afraid to play in front of people, I was playing some snare drum, some bass drum, and the teacher kind of thought I was pretty good. And I never thought I was.
We're bringing it back to what year at this point with your self-esteem?
Shoot, we're back in 70 maybe, because 73. So
8th grade freshman?
7th maybe. I think
7th grade?
It could have been 7th or 8th grade.
Okay.
And I remember I got sick that day, so I didn't have
to. You want to show up and play?
I didn't.
I didn't want to play the
But I remember, check this out. I remember being on the corner watching the parade go by with the school band.
And that's right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the corner of Amador and
Ain't that crazy
Village
that
Park.
I'm back in Dublin too?
And that's exactly where we're at right now.
I know.
Which is really crazy. I mean, it's right around the corner of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a moment, that I thought about. I forget so much, it seems like. My youth years, I just, a lot of it's a fog, but...
Most people's are.
Yeah, and that's what I'm finding out. It's not. Yeah, I'm not so unique.
And they think they know their memories, and they really don't. So
right.
Don't worry
about that. But things have started to come back, and we'll talk about a book I'm working on, and so I've had to do a lot of writing with that, and so it's starting to pieces of that puzzle are starting to come back together. Some of it.
Okay. So bring it back around again. I'm curious. Let's go to Hayward. Now you're 17. And
I came back from Memphis.
You saw all the cool kids doing little dance thing, you know what I mean? You want to be like those kids at 17, so where do you go from there?
I didn't want to be like those kids.
I know, that's just me, but where do you go from there in your life?
Well, what happened?
I didn't even know you went to Memphis, which is awesome.
Yes, and I'll give you a snapshot. You can put it up. I've got the pictures. So
very cool.
Yeah, when I flew and did the whole deal, it was cool. It was a great time. Again, I was working, I was playing. So I came back home, and Benny and I started a band called No Thanks. Benny had a band, and Benny and I kind of stuck together. And a few other members had come in. Keith Bellino had come into the picture, and Larry Litz had come into the picture. There was another bass player, Tom Sprayberry. So we had a few people that came in and out of No Thanks and Benny and the Jets. And that went on, actually, up until I met your mother. Yeah, before you were born. That was the time there was a guy named Keith Turpin, who was somebody I had met and became my drum tech. And
so wait, Keith Turpin ended up being the drum tech?
Keith was my drum tech.
Oh, nice.
That's how I met your mother.
Okay.
Get it all out.
Yeah. Hey, let's just be real. This is what it's all about. No sugarcoating, transparency. That's what us Lucckettas are. We'll give it a little knuckle.
I was 19.
We're not lying. Sorry, Andy, you're going to have to do that again.
I was
used to it.
I was 19 years old. Yeah.
Keep painting the stories.
But I was doing a lot of local playing, Troy. I was playing in a lot of clubs. And I missed the whole whisper thing. We didn't talk about that. Yeah, that was right.
No, but it's okay because I'm going to put this Red Vista Light kit, and I have a feeling that was your whisper kit.
This is the whisper kit. Yeah. We're just kind of all over. But what do you want? ADHD, they call it.
And thank you with the DNA that you gave me with ADD, and your grandson that's upstairs with ADHD running around all crazy.
Son, check this out. ADHD, always dedicated, highly determined.
Boom.
You like
and
that?
I would give you another fist bump, but it's going to make Andy really mad.
So yeah, the whisper days. Those were some good moments too. But it's all part of the story of where I'm at today. And you go through life and you go through changes. And right now, here with you is a moment of time. We lost a lot of time over the years. And I don't know how far you want me to keep going with my story, because if I just sit here and tell my whole story,
just be you. Just tell the story you want to tell.
You're not going to. I
don't think we have that much time.
This is true.
Let's talk about you, and so let's progress after 19. So I know after that you got in the Eric Martin band, correct?
That is correct.
And I know that was probably like some big success for you at that time. Mm-hmm. So can you talk about Eric Martin Band and where you're at in your life from 19 to 23?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes, which will have to do with you again.
We share the same name, so that's going to happen.
So for all of you that want to be in this business, it's a tough business. The music business is very, very tough. And there's a lot of things that happen in the business that you have no control over. So, at any rate, Benny and the Jets really kind of lost its footing. And I had an opportunity to get in the Eric Martin band. Eric Martin is the singer for the band Mr. Big. But before Tesla and before Mr. Big, there was the Eric Martin band. And it was actually 415, which was the local area code at the time.
So and a lot of people do know about 415, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I've been hearing a lot of references last decade. Like, is he the guy in the 415? I'm like, oh my God, just message him. You know what I mean? I don't know. I have no clue what he did.
415.
So, yeah, that had like a big, some growth, right?
415 got picked up. They did really, really well, and I was watching them progress, and I had an opportunity to join them, and I actually joined them for like one day. And I believe, I was with your mother. We were together. And I joined them for one day, and I was going to, because Eric was a great singer, and I had seen him, and the band Mile High that was the band. They had kind of joined together and became 415. And so I joined for one day, and then I got really loyal, and I went back to Benny because they were bummed out because I split, and I'm like, I can't do this. I never played with them or did anything. And then they got picked up by Herbie Herbert, who managed Journey. And I'm like, man, these guys are going places, And I kind of blew it, and I felt I missed out on my opportunity. And the funny thing is, I took a job with this guy as a loan officer when I was out of Benny and the Jets.
Weird is that?
Yeah. And I did this for like a very, very short time. I didn't sell one loan. I was horrible at it. It's just, me in a suit and tie selling mortgages? I don't think so. But it's ironic that you've done very well with that. We could talk about that as well.
No, it's about me. You keep talking.
So I decided I had an opportunity. They were auditioning drummers, and I got the gig, and I was really excited about that because I knew we were going to have an opportunity to make a record. And that was a huge moment. And we were supposed to do the record Fantasy Studios in the Bay Area. Your mother's pregnant with you.
Yep.
I don't know if you know the rest of the story, but it goes something like this.
And then I guess we'll do it live. Spin it, Pops.
There's no spin on it. I'm just stating
the truth.
Stating the facts, you know.
Spin was a bad word. I'm sorry about that.
I mean, again, the business dictates things. I'm young. I'm 23 years old. I'm going to go make my first record. We're going to Berkeley. We're in Fantasy. We're local. We're home. Well, Kevin Elson, who was going to produce the record, another guy came in by the name of Rodney Mills. Rodney Mills used to do 38 Special. I think he had done some Leonard Skinner records. He was in Doraville, Georgia. The band packed up, went to Doraville. So I was home waiting for you to be born. Okay? I'm waiting. It's not happening.
Are you in New York at this time?
No. I'm home. I'm home
so you
with
are home.
you and your mother.
Okay.
We're waiting.
All right.
I'm like, I can't. The band just picked up and split. Frickin' went to. I'm like,
so you just trying to be a good human being? Like, I want to hang out.
I'm like,
board.
And they're like calling, like, you got to get here.
Yeah. And, hey, you are the backbone of the band. They need you.
You know what? It was a situation, and I thought, oh my God. So I go. I'm 9 days into the recording. And guess what? I get a phone call from Grandma Pozo.
Rest in peace.
God bless her. She's a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
And I remember her saying you just had a baby boy, 10 pounds. You were 12? Or
10 pounds, 12 ounces.
Yeah, because I was 10. Yeah.
You were 10-10, right?
Yeah, I was 10-10.
Yeah.
You were 10-12. And
us Lucckettas are big.
But that was,
it's like birthing a turkey.
Now, that was the 14th when you were born, December 14th. I got home December 16th. Okay, and I remember walking in the door, and your mother handed me you. That was the first time. I have the photos. All these photos. I don't know if you have these photos or not, but I do. Yeah. I'm sure your mother does. Yeah. But
you both are good at having photos.
Yeah.
You both are.
So anyway, I thought about what this business is, and it was, I can't say it really got better because, it's kind of like, so you want to be in the music business? Let's just start with, your son being born.
At 23 years old.
23 years old. I'm not home. It was a terrible sacrifice. And, I was trying to get my tracks done, and they had induced labor with you, so I was like, just hold on a couple more days, but it didn't happen that way, Yeah. But
just hold on a couple more days.
Waiting for me, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's going to happen. But anyway, that's the business that we're in, and God knows you have been there through all these years. You've been at the brunt end of that. Family, this business does not cater to families. It's just the way it is.
Very hard.
Very tough business to be in. But with that being said, we made the best of things. We got back together when I got home, and I pursued my journey with the Eric Martin Band. And the Eric Martin Band lasted a few years. We went out and we did a tour with Journey. We did a year of like 16 magazine. We did.
So now you're 24 to 25, I'm assuming?
I'm 24.
Okay.
Yeah, this was all 23, 24 years old. We were 24. We were in Hawaii with Journey for 5 nights, sold out at the Blaisdell Center, which was a great, great moment. And
in a minute.
So, at any rate, that was just enough for me. And then we got the American Bandstand thing, and then the band broke up. We went into Herbie's office, and they weren't picking up our second option, and the band broke up.
So wait, Eric Martin Band got on to American Bandstand.
Correct.
And no one wanted to pick them up at that point?
We had a second option for our record. So the second option never got picked up from Elektra Records.
Okay.
See, because when we signed with Elektra Records, this gal Maxine Sartorius, who signed the band, she was gone. They closed down the West Coast office. They were left to the East Coast office. And
none of you people better sue us as we name drop. Sorry, here we go.
And so, things were changing, and we didn't have any relationships in the Elektra at that time,
Yeah.
But these were all really wonderful times, growing up in the business, because there was a great scene back then. Mm-hmm. Everything's so different today. It's not what it was. Sure, there's different options, and we have the internet and the power, and things are different.
So tell me the Bay Area real quick, from 24 to just 18. So we're talking about Whisper to Eric Martin Band. What were the bands that you were watching and that you were influenced by here in the Bay Area that you're like, oh my God, those guys got it? Like, was there anyone that you felt were great?
Y&T, Yesterday and Today. Yeah.
John Nyman.
Yeah. Well, Dave Menichetti. Because John Nyman, who was in the Eric Martin Band, who ended up joining Y&T. But see, and now we're getting back to my roots of who I was listening to, and I think you probably brought that up.
Well, let's keep going there. So what makes Troy Luccketta? So
actually, Leonard Hayes from
Rest in peace.
Yeah, God bless him. He was a drummer for Yesterday and Today, that was the name of the first album. Then Y&T came out. So I was around for all that. I used to go back and forth. I was 15, 16, 17 with Byron Lang in his Trans Am, and we would go to the Starwood in Los Angeles, and bands like Van Halen were opening for Yesterday and Today. Motley Crue was opening for Yesterday and Today. Poison was opening for Yesterday. Everybody opened for Yesterday and Today, Y&T.
So they were holding it down here in the Bay Area.
Yesterday,
they were the ones.
They were the happening thing.
Yeah.
And they were phenomenal. And Leonard was, there was John Bonham, and then there was Leonard Hayes.
Yeah.
And for me, it was all about Leonard. Leonard's probably been one of the greatest influences on me playing-wise, outside of listening to John and Jeff Porcaro. So when I got into Tesla, when Tesla happened and that came together, my road for me was, you had John, and obviously I had all of Leonard that was still inside of me. Mm-hmm. And then because I got so heavily influenced by Jeff Porcaro, I just kind of took that middle road, and I wanted to kind of have a lane to be in as a player. Yeah. And that was the lane that I chose, and I had the right band to do that with. That you could bring some
showcase.
You could bring some finesse. You could still play rock, but you can not just be completely square. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, not just hold down the 2 and 4. That groove. So
and so.
Okay, now we're going to take a quick little break.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our beautiful assistant Tiffany, and she's gonna. Tiffany got the drum heads. You got the drumsticks over there, because this would not happen. MOS Podcasts, by the way. We're fucking everything up, but we're figuring it out, and that's the whole thing about this. And when we go live, and we don't cheap the live feel. But we've had some people that bought the MOS t-shirts, that bought the drum head, the drumsticks, the 2 packages that we ran on the MOS promo, And I would like to give them a shout out real quick. And if you don't mind just signing a couple things for 2 minutes, and then we'll start after 24 years old. Because now we got you locked up to 24, right? And then we'll start after 24. You cool with that?
I'm totally cool with that.
All right. So real quick, we got a quick shout out.
Are we like, am I going too long on all this? See, my story's a little long. This thing's going to be probably way too long.
We'll figure it out.
You can edit out and use whatever you want.
So we got Kelly Hill, thank you. Cynthia Bredham, Evelyn Rowe, Kevin Alexander, Mark Leese, Black Sam, which is actually a personal homeboy of mine, and Jen. Thank you. You guys make this happen, and we're some broke musicians, not trying to act like we're nothing that we are, and raising that money, bought the cameras that you see today to make this happen. So thank you guys. We appreciate it, and man, it's all love. It's all love here, and we're going to get better. Like I said, we suck at it, but we will get better. Promise you that. Sorry, Andy, you're going to have to pick that one up again. I think this one's hanging from my butthole. Go grab that one.
And we want to say thank you to ProMark Sticks and Evans Heads, of course. Always. I've been with both these companies for many, many years, and they've been very, very good to me.
Do you mind grabbing this real quick so we can start after
I can
24
finish these
years
later,
old?
too.
Yeah, we'll finish that later.
Okay.
Just go ahead and grab it so we keep it going, because I got ADD, and I know because you gave it to me, Pops, you got ADHD. Genetics don't lie, DNA does not lie, science does not lie. Okay, so you are 24 years old right now, and I'm being birthed 1982. You came back 2 or 3 days later. I'm a big fat kid. You see me, and then where do you go from there in your career as a drummer?
Well, at that time, we just discussed what we did with the Eric Martin Band. Those are the successes. That's the short version of what we did over a couple of years. Band breaks up, does not get the option picked up. Your mother had cut, oh my goodness, Sherry Wheat is Brian Wheat's sister. So, your mother was cutting Sherry's hair, and Brian had a band. And Sherry had mentioned it to your mother, and they were looking for a drummer. And I remember her telling me about this. Actually, the funny thing is as I sit here right now, because I don't think I've ever shared this story.
I don't know any of this. This is awesome.
I believe this is what happened, and your mother may confirm it. But I think that's how I ended up. Actually, when I think about it now, I think that's
getting
how
into Tesla?
I probably ended up
that
in the
connection.
band. I think that was what happened.
Sherry Wheat, thank you for making Tesla happen, because this guy, as we know, is a great drummer, and that would have never happened. Sherry Wheat, thank you.
So Brian, what happened was, Dwayne Hitchens was a producer, and he had some songs on the charts. He played with Carmine Appice and Cactus.
Oh, nice.
And but he had a song on the charts with Rod Stewart called "Passion" at the time, and I think he had something to do with Betty Davis' eyes. I think that was a big one with him, Kim Carnes. But he was over at Eddie Money's house, and Eric Martin Band had played with Eddie Money. So Gary Ferguson, who was the drummer for Eddie, I knew. We became friends. That's how I got my first stick deal, was through him, which was many years ago. But
through who exactly?
Gary Ferguson, who
Shout
did
out
a
to
record.
Gary.
Yeah, great drummer. He did a No Control album with Eddie Money, and we were on that tour on some dates.
Eddie too.
So we were just doing some local stuff with Eddie. But Gary and I had become friends, and sweet, great guy. And point being, Dwayne Hitchens calls me from Eddie Money's house, and he has this new band called City Kid that he's working with, and he would like to play me a demo. So he came over to the house, Redwood Road, and from Eddie's, and played me 2 songs. It had a drum machine, a song called Rock City and Restless Hearts, I think it was. I heard it. I heard Jeff's voice, short version, and I knew I wanted to check out the band because I thought Jeff had something really unique and cool and different. He also mentioned, he said, well, if you're not into this, Eddie had asked about you. And this was kind of a game changer for me because back then, I knew what Gary was making. I think he was making about $750 a week, which was good money back then for me at my age.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I still wanted to be in the band.
And just to reference, age?
24.
Still at 24.
I think just going into 24, 25 years old. Yeah. Just
trying to do
right. Yeah. So,
awesome.
And so I just decided, I went down, I checked out the band the first night by myself. I come back, grabbed your mother. We went back, and because I needed her endorsement to see if she was going to be into this or not. And we both made a decision that I would give this thing a shot, and this was where we would put our energy and take a shot at it again.
Nice. I
was very blessed, man. Your mom was amazing. And
everyone knows that you need that.
You got to have that kind of support.
It's not one person. It's a support factor in almost every angle, right?
Thinking back, with the family, there's 5 of us now, kids, and us adults, and your mom was carrying the load. I mean, she really was. Thank God things had worked out, I had done some work a little bit here and there. I was working off and on. I did the Sierra Cruz vans thing. I was doing the van interior work, and then I was working over at Nocturne.
So what are you doing in the vans interior thing real quick? What are you doing there?
Well, I had a couple different places I worked. 2 van conversion shop. The first one I worked at when I actually got the Eric Martin gig was Sierra Cruz vans. And I pretty much did everything there because it was a custom van shop. So we would build custom cabinets. Z Clark would turn me loose and, have me make cabinets, cut out the Formica, route them, spray the glue and do the whole thing. We'd build the overhead consoles. I was cutting into brand new vans. I'd take the shears out.
Are they still around today?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and unfortunately Jeff died recently, but they had ribs. When you buy a brand new van, they got the ribs in them, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I'd have to do is right at the wheel well, I'd cut the bottom of the wheel, the rib out, and then I put my template up for the window and grab these electric shears, drill some holes, and cut out. Yeah.
So you really doing that?
I did that, for years.
Some man's work right there.
Along with roofing. I mean, I've always worked. Yeah. I've never been a slouch to work, but anyway.
I didn't know that angle that you did that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So that was what I was doing for work at the time. And then when the band broke up, I went to work over at Nocturne building stages, just doing decking, because the Journey warehouse where we would rehearse sometimes had in the front of the warehouse, they had the Journey rehearsal, and then they had the front of the warehouse that were building staging. And I remember working on a Rod Stewart barricade. I remember decking the stage for the motels and putting all the wood and doing some. So I was doing whatever I could to work. And I remember I was doing that right before I got the audition, coming back full circle to Tesla, and Dwayne playing me that tape. But the second night, with your mom, I remember coming back full circle to the second evening, going on the dance floor, watching the whole band, and kind of going through all the members of the band. And once I seen Jeff, I remember he kept my attention all night long. And that's when I knew that I was going to do it. Because the first night I wasn't sure. I come back, I wasn't 100%. The second night with your mother, when we come back and we watch, and I was like, that's it.
And then what club is this at?
Oasis Ballroom in Sacramento.
Nice.
Yeah.
You knew Jeff had it. And
I knew. Yeah. You know what?
The band had it.
I just knew
that.
There comes a time, and I knew without a shadow of a doubt that only thing the band was lacking was me. Yeah. And I don't mean that cocky. I just knew that I was the guy, and I knew if I joined the band that we were going to do exactly what we've done. I probably didn't know 30 years later, but I knew at that time that we would get a record deal. Yeah. And we would have a shot at it.
You just felt that maybe you were that missing piece to these guys.
Well, I was that missing piece.
Well, obviously. Hence 35 years. You're getting old. But yeah, you're actually going on 35 years. Been rocking it, we're selling out. But so now we're leaving this whole... Man, you painted a great picture of your life, and we get to this point. So now let's just say we're in Tesla. What year is it?
Brian tells me I joined in 85 or 84 summer. So if he's right, which he's probably his memory's
pretty on it.
His memory's a lot better than mine. I thought I was 85 in the middle of 85, which would make sense because I thought we were only together 9 months. So I think 85. I'm going to say 85. And then because 1986, December, the record had come out.
The first record.
The first
85.
album.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, because 9 months later.
Because I don't want to get sued on YouTube, so you say the first record.
First record.
No, the name of the first record.
Mechanical Resonance.
Thank you.
But point being, we were going back and forth to Los Angeles doing some showcases, and that's how we got a record deal. We got picked up, and Tom Zutaut and Teresa Ensenat signed the band, and that was the starting of an amazing 35-year career that we've had. That's the short version.
So how many records now that are out with Tesla?
God, I don't even know. How many studio albums? Or just...
Yeah, let's go studio albums. Let's go with that for right now.
I guess maybe a dozen,
And now tell me what happens after Life of Tesla. We're living in COVID. What have you been doing now? Let's just talk about that. Let's not even go after Tesla. Let's just talk about what you're doing now, because Tesla can't play due to COVID.
Well, yeah, due to COVID.
Let me phrase that better.
I've treated it like a couple. Well, first of all, because we've been on the road for 20 years and in the last 20 we haven't had a break like this.
So it's obviously very weird for you.
I'm enjoying the break.
Yeah.
The adjustment financially is a little challenging, which is fine. That's okay.
Are you producing?
I would say I'm producing.
Are you playing on people's tracks?
Yeah, I've been doing some tracks and doing.
Who are you playing on?
The COVID thing has brought out this thing with people doing tracks in their homes and sending the drum performance to this guy, and he puts a guitar on it, and so I've done maybe a half a dozen of those with different people. I did one for Dave Ellison from Megadeth, that his solo album that's getting ready to come out, and I just did one for Chuck Wright. He was a bass player for Quiet Riot, rest Frankie Bonelli's soul.
Is that the Dream Theater guy that's on that, producing that?
The Dream Theater, Sheridan is a keyboard player on the Chuck Wright thing I did. It'd probably be out this week.
Okay.
And then I've done a couple with Tesla. We did a couple of those videos. I did one with my cousin called Cousins. My cousin Scott Van Zen, great, amazing guitar player. So I've done a few of those. I just had a group of people come in from Boston. I did a 5-song EP with them. I'm in the middle of working on something that is, I don't even know if I can really talk about it right now because it's kind of in the works and it might get picked up for a pay-per-view. We'll see. But something I can talk about is back when the Great White Tragedy fire happened in 03, February 20th, 03.
Grab that laminate right behind you.
The laminate?
Just grab that laminate right there. Yep. The top one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Just grab it. Put it on your neck.
Well, I can't get to it.
Okay. But I think what you did with that, Pops, I don't think that got enough recognition because you built up a lot of awareness, and obviously it's a sad thing, of course, but all the money you donated to those families, Jeff Rader, and all that happened.
I'll give you a little bit of the backstory. So, Great White has the club fire. 100 people died in a club fire.
Yeah.
200 injured, 65 orphan children. So I put two events together. One, because I was going to make a donation, I learned about what happened. We lost Jeff Rader in the fire, who was Jeff R. Singer's personal assistant. So short version is, because these are long stories, put a benefit together at the PPAC Center. Shinedown opened. I went up and met one of the guys. I didn't know.
And then what city is this at?
We did this in Warwick, Providence, Rhode Island. So Shinedown opened up. We had Carmine Apiece and Pat Travers and Tesla. We did and we sold out 3,300 seats under the radar. I had called Todd King and told him we were going to come do a benefit, and I went to all the guys in the band and asked them if we could do this for them, and they said as long as it didn't cost us any money. So I went to work on this event with Todd. And the short story is we sold it out, 3,300 seats, no interviews, no heroes, nothing. Just flew, just got in.
Affected.
We did it, raised $100,000 that night. That was in 05, February 25th, 05. So February 25th, 08, I went into a Dunkin' Donuts Center, which is basically a 15,000 seat arena, and I became the promoter, and I put a show together for them.
Yeah.
And I made phone calls, and I called it was a big show. It ran on VH1. Short story is it raised $2 million. It was huge. It was a massive, awesome production. I spent about 6 months working on it. It consumed my life. It were all personal phone calls. Dee Snider was the host. I didn't do any interviews. You'll find nothing on the internet about it with me. Intentionally. I didn't want that. That's not what it was about. I can talk about it today. It's easier to talk about. It's been,
Well, I just get happy about the $2 million that were raised for the families that were affected.
Yeah, it was
obviously it's travesty, but
they were. I mean, at the time,
you had to step up in a horrible situation and do what you did and just give all the proceeds over.
Well, I'd never seen a dime.
Yeah.
Once, I was instrumental in I was the promoter. I went in, put down I went and met with the assistant to the GM of the building. Got the building for free. They gave me the building. We had a lot of expenses, Ticketmaster and such, but I said, what does it take to come in here and put a show together? They go, give me $2,000 and you can have that'll give you a $2 million liability policy and you can have your show. So I had called Todd King. I said, Todd, bring him a check. He brought him a check. Wake up
Todd King, the big guy that I know, big old Todd, when I met on the Monsters of Rock?
He's one of the survivors.
Okay.
He's the one who started the Station Family Fund.
All right.
Yeah, that's how I met him.
Shout out to Todd.
Yeah. So Todd brought him a check, and they said, go ahead, have your show. I had a foundation at the time called Wake Up to Love, so it said Wake Up to Love presents the Station Family Fund Benefit Relief Concert.
Yeah.
And it went right on the billboard. I didn't have any acts. It was just myself, and I started making phone calls, and it became a big event. We had country, Christian, and rock, and Twisted Sister, Tesla, Dee Snider was the host, Aaron Lewis from Stained. The guys from Boston came in and sang with Stryper. John Rich from Big and Rich brought Gretchen Wilson and Dierks Bentley. He brought a private jet. All of this stuff just kind of came together.
Yeah. And
then I did a conference call with VH1. They got involved, and that was through Dee. Dee had hooked that up. He said they wanted to come in, and it just kind of snowballed.
Real quick, how old are you now when you're doing this?
What's that?
How old are you now when you're doing White House on Fire? How old?
I'm 60.
No, when you did the show.
White House on Fire. No. That one that we just did?
Yeah.
Like last year when you came out?
Mm-hmm. Not same.
No, that's when I turned 60, right. That was it. Yeah, you were there for that. Yeah. That's right. You came out to...
So I figured we got 24.
Yeah, we're coming full circle.
We got Tesla 3035. We do a dad rocking good things for good people, raising almost $2 million. Do you understand that? I don't think you ever sit back and realize sometimes what you do, Dad. You are freaking awesome. The $2 million.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I mean?
Son, it's just, when there's a need, it's sometimes... I never set out to doing this stuff, and it wasn't because I was some great guy.
Yeah, I know.
I just, things happen, you have friends, benefits, all these things have come together out of a need. Mm-hmm. That's why you do it.
Yeah.
And when you do something for the right reasons, things happen.
Exactly.
That's all. That's all it is. And I just picked up a ball that I ran with it, and that ball happened to be after doing a meet and greet and meeting some of the survivors, and there was a packet of information that sat on our tour bus that was addressed to Frank, and one day I picked it up and looked at it, and I was just going to I simply called to make him donation. That's all
shows the character of
your
heart.
All it was going to be.
Yeah.
I was going to make a donation, and then I learned about him, and I thought, what if? So
hence, perfect analogy. You picked up the ball and started running.
That's it.
That's awesome. I think we need to end on basically what is Troy Luccketta going to do next? It's 2020. We're in a fucked up place with COVID, but we are figuring it out. Tesla's not on tour. And what's going to happen now?
Well, it will be the 20th year anniversary of the fire on the 2023. Right now, there's a documentary being shot. The full story. It's happening. It's all funded. It's happening as we speak.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about that, and I'm part of that. So that's one thing. The other thing I'm working on is a project that might get picked up for television as well. So we'll see. That remains to be seen.
Is that something you can talk about?
Well, there's No, because there's non-disclosures that have been signed, and we don't
Okay.
have it completely. But I have a partner, and I met some people during this COVID thing, and because of that, I fell into this situation where I put two groups of musicians together. There's a stage, LA, and there's a stage here in Nashville, and it has to do with the show that's being put together for either a Netflix or a pay-per-view. We'll see. And there's wonderful people, great talent on board.
Is this a 2020 release or 2021 release?
This will be before the end of the year if
Okay,
it
nice.
happens. I mean, we're right in the middle of it, and we've got some wonderful people. I mean, they're big names that will be involved in the stuff we're doing. It's just something to do. TV's short right now for content, and it made sense, and I just fell into it with this guy, and I just happened to pick up and make some phone calls. I put two house bands together.
Nice, and we'll talk about that guy because it's non-disclosure right now. But real quick at closing, because we're coming up on the hour, who does Troy Luccketta listen to? I want to know today in 2020. I want you to name a couple of your favorite drummers. I want you to name a couple of your favorite bands. If you're still listening to the older stuff, cool. If there's any new bands that have sparked some interest, spit it.
Wow, I'm an old dinosaur, man. I'm real old school. All the new stuff, I get hep through you. And I'll be honest with you, son. I do a lot of work with a lot of people. And even on the production stuff and the music that I'm doing, I could not be more proud of you and what you're doing with your music and the Made of Stars stuff and all the stuff I'm hearing. It's so contemporary. It's so cool. It's melodic, and you're singing and you're writing. You're blowing my mind. And I'm not here to flatter my son about this, but
it doesn't help that you're rocking my band's T-shirt. But
the truth of the matter is, it makes me realize what a dinosaur I am. I mean, I'm with my mom, and God bless her, she's still alive, and
85, kicking butt.
She is. She's doing fantastic.
She just got that. What did she get? The Total Gym?
Yeah, she's got Chuck Norris Total Gym. She rocks it.
Yeah.
But, I was over there at her place, and I was listening. She's always playing music and doing her thing. And she had on Neil Diamond, which is one of my all-time favorite to this day. And I listen to that music, and I'm like, you know what? I grew up with the music that I grew up with.
Yeah.
I'm a little out of touch with a lot of the new music. I really am.
I
love
many.
I don't have any favorite drummers. And I don't know that I've been listening to enough music that I could even call it out, But there's so many wonderful players, and I'm still highly influenced. I still love to play. I still practice. I still work very hard at what I do. So, I don't know if I probably didn't answer the question because it's not
You know what? You
specific.
like what you like. That's what I heard.
That's it. It's just...
And after 1 hour, Pops, episode 1, Troy Luccketta of Tesla, you're a great father. You're a great drummer. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks, son.
I love you.
I love you, too.
And you can grab that one, too.
I love you, buddy. Thanks for having me.
We out.
Peace.